In the opening scene, a little girl named Lainey runs through the farmland, picking an apple from the ground. She takes it to her mom, Jessica, who sighs because Lainey often collects apples they don't need. Jessica is a single mom with 2 kids, Lainey and Mason. They live in Jessica's late grandmother's old house, far from town. Jessica, a former drug addict, struggles to make ends meet and plans to move out to start fresh. As Jessica packs to leave town for a new job, she tosses out old food and wrestles with a stubborn pantry door, using a brick to prop it open. While cleaning, she finds her grandma's Bible and decides to keep it. But the brick isn't strong enough. Slowly, the door swings shut, trapping Jessica inside the pantry. Jessica turns on the lights and calls for her daughter Lainey to open the pantry door, but Lainey can't twist the rusty knob. Jessica tries to kick the door open, but it won't budge. Seeing the unscrewable hinges, Jessica instructs Lainey to fetch tools from the red box on the porch. Lainey brings a screwdriver, but it's the wrong type. Frustrated and desperate, Jessica sits down, seemingly giving up. Suddenly, Lainey announces that her dad, Jessica's ex-boyfriend Rob, has arrived to get his toolbox. Rob is a drug addict, and Jessica keeps him away from their children. He's high and has brought Sammy, a fellow addict and convicted child molester. Rob insists on getting back together, accusing Jessica of being arrogant now that she's clean. He believes they were a strong couple when they were both using drugs and wants to recreate that dynamic. When Jessica refuses, Rob mocks her for getting stuck in the pantry and slaps her. She tries to call for help, but he grabs her phone and locks her in the pantry. Lainey hears the commotion and Jessica tells her to lock herself and Mason in her room. Rob starts hammering nails through the door, stabbing Jessica's hand and making her scream. She hears Sammy suggesting taking the kids, and Jessica desperately begs Rob to keep Sammy away from them. Rob throws a packet of drugs into the pantry, telling her he'll leave her there until she starts using again. Then, she hears the front door close, indicating the men have left. Jessica wraps her injured hand with napkins. Lainey comes downstairs and tells her mom the pantry door is boarded shut. Jessica instructs Lainey to lock the front door, but she's unsure if Lainey understands. To make things worse, Lainey can't find Jessica's phone. Scared to go to the bathroom alone, Lainey ends up peeing by the door, pleading with Jessica not to be mad. A few hours later, Lainey tells Jessica she's hungry, but all the food is packed in the car, and Rob took the keys. The only food left is apple butter and a bottle of liquor. Jessica pours some apple butter onto a plate and slides it through the door for Lainey and baby Mason to eat. At night, Jessica lies on the pantry floor to sleep. Lainey lies on the floor outside the door, scared to sleep alone. The next morning, Jessica feeds her kids more apple butter and notices her wound is worsening. She asks Lainey for something strong and metal, but Lainey doesn't understand and brings the wrong items, frustrating Jessica. Jessica yells but quickly apologizes when Lainey cries. Later, Lainey returns with a screwdriver she found outside. Filled with hope, Jessica starts chipping away at the floor tiles despite her injuries, determined to dig her way out. But her hope doesn't last long. Lainey announces that Sammy the child molester is in the house. This causes Jessica to panic, so she quickly instructs Lainey to lock herself with Mason in her room upstairs. Then, Sammy walks up to the pantry door threatening to take Lainey because Rob owes him money. So, Jessica then announces that she has Rob's meth packet in the room with her, and offers to trade it in exchange for letting her out. The bad guy takes the bait but refuses to let her out because he doesn't want to be on Rob's bad side. This leaves her no option but to come up with another plan. She tells Sammy that she's willing to slide him the drugs as long as he leaves her family alone. The mother also claims that she is injured, so Sammy has to reach far inside for her to hand him the drugs. After some convincing, as he does as asked, she stabs the screwdriver through his palm and drives it deeper with a brick, trapping him there. Sammy screams angrily and curses at Jessica. Eventually, he starts begging her to let him go while she continues chipping at the floor. Ignoring him, Sammy taunts Jessica about her past drug addiction. Annoyed, she slashes his hand. Night falls, and a storm causes a power outage. Lainey, scared, calls for her mother and heads downstairs, unaware of Sammy near the door. Sammy grabs Lainey and threatens to hurt her unless Jessica releases him. Desperate, Jessica pours liquor on Sammy's hand and sets him on fire. He lets go of Lainey, but the fire spreads in the pantry. So, she has to put them out. Sammy burns to death, and Lainey goes silent. Later, exhausted Jessica falls asleep with a blanket and candle. When she wakes, she calls for Lainey but gets no response. Distressed, she considers taking drugs but finds a Bible with a dollar bill inside, left by her grandmother along with a note that makes her emotionally angry. She throws the Bible at a cross, breaking it. Next, Jessica picks up the broken cross, uncovering a ceiling that leaks. She tears through the weak wood and picks a screwdriver in Sammy's hand. Using it, she breaks through the ceiling and climbs up. Upstairs, she reaches the bedroom door, only to find it locked. Inside the messy bedroom, Jessica uncovers her children under layers of blankets, relieved to find them safe but hungry. She takes them downstairs and grabs Sammy's motorcycle keys. However, the storm was still raging outside, and Rob had taken away her car keys. She thought maybe the car was unlocked, but the doors were locked when she tried. With no other choice, she breaks the door window with a brick to get some food. As they hurried back inside, Lainey dropped her animal crackers. Later, Jessica went outside to pick them, on her daughter's request, and as she turned back, Sammy was standing at the window. Jessica panics when she sees Sammy alive. She runs towards the house, but Sammy locks the door from inside. Jessica, worried for her daughters, breaks in and finds Sammy threatening baby Mason with a knife. Rob arrives, pointing a gun at Sammy and saving the baby. Rob shoots Sammy, thinking he hurt his children. Rob then demands money. Jessica tells him her grandma left some in the pantry. Rob breaks the door and collects the money. Jessica asks Rob to let her and the kids go, but he refuses, insisting she take drugs with him. Knowing how dangerous he is, Jessica pretends to cooperate. She asks him to fetch food from the car, and while he's outside, she prepares apple butter and makes him a sandwich. Rob returns, excited, thinking Jessica will relapse with him. He devours the sandwich and prepares the drugs. They go to the living room to keep the kids from seeing. Rob injects himself first. Jessica tries to stall, saying she's not ready. Annoyed, Rob points a gun at her and forces her to tie her arm to inject the drugs. Suddenly, the drugs affect Rob. Jessica runs as he wobbles. She heads upstairs, trying to escape through the window. Rob catches her and pins her to the wall, and just when he is about to inject her, the drugs shut down his body. He starts hyperventilating and crawling across the room. Jessica reveals she put meth in his sandwich, causing his overdose. Furious, Rob threatens to kill her, but she pushes him out the window, killing him. The scene, then, shifts ahead where Jessica decides to stay in her grandmother's house and starts a business making homemade apple butter from her grandmother's recipe. She's determined never to relapse again and finds joy in her new life. And there the movie ends.